Hey you, are you wanting to write better blogs to up-level your freelance content writing business? Well, in this video, you'll learn from a six-figure content writer what are the 5 most common mistakes that content writers do when writing blogs.
Everybody's always learning, and it's just to writing, and even the biggest publications, that have teams of editors that are through every single piece of content to make sure there's no typos, the ideas are cohesive, the facts are true. So when somebody, like a lot of times as a freelance writer, you're kind of doing all of it on your own. So it can be, a lot of work. And
just a reminder, Jess, they need to start to be willing to do bad content before they write good content, because there's no way you can be good, like great writer right at it when you start. It's just like anything in life, right? Like you gotta be willing to make mistakes.
Absolutely.
Like that.
It's true. And a lot of people, they talk about, just kind of looking at a blank page and feeling really stuck, and you're kind of intimidated or you don't know where to start. And yeah, just like Francielle was saying, like, don't expect yourself to come in and just like write a masterpiece right off the bat, just get something on the page, get something to work with. And, a lot of the best parts of it, the brilliance comes in tweaking and working with things over time. It's kind of the same in any kind of art or craft that you're doing. But okay, so to start, I want to quickly just talk about a few things that I like about the piece right off the bat. The writer uses a good amount of headings throughout the piece, so you'll notice that it's broken up and easy to scan, and they keep the paragraphs really short, which is preferred. Just because it's easier to read. A huge block of text can just be really intimidating. So when a reader comes to the site and they just see all this text, they'll be like, I'm going to look for something that's a little bit more reader friendly. So yeah, I really like how she broke this up. My first critique is about making sure that the entire piece is really cohesive and clear. So just starting off reading this article, it says 6 tricks to optimize your website for lead generation, online and offline. So right off the bat, I was a little bit confused because I'm like, how do you optimize your website when you're offline? How would that work? And so I continued to read through the thing, and instead of like reading and knowing what I'm going to learn, I was kind of in a place of reading and trying to figure out what that meant exactly. And so that's not where you want your readers to be. You want to make sure that the title is very clear and explains very easily what's in store for the reader. So as I'm going through, what I discovered is that it's really 6 tips to increase lead generation. So to help you get more leads, mostly to your website, and to convert them. So in reading that, my first piece of advice would be to really kind of take a step back after writing and to think, does this whole piece really tie together? Is it really, cohesive and easy to understand? So for this
question for you, Jess. But how can you ensure that your content is not, even if you write your own thoughts and ideas, it's not like something too similar to other people or other author out there that seems like that it feels like it's plagiarized? Does that make sense? My question.
Yeah, definitely. Well, one way that you can check is with Copyscape. So I run everything that I write through there, and it just searches the web and it lets you know if there's anything that's similar, that it would come up as plagiarized. And then it's a good idea to type in your title or your main keyword, and then to look at the, top search results from the first page or two. And, just make sure that And I think you should do this anyway in your research process. Just see what's out there, because that's your competition. Like, you need to be better than these top results. So you need to know, what those are. And so by reviewing them, you can make sure that, you're differentiating your content in some way.
Awesome. Thank you.
That makes sense?
Yeah, it does. You can continue.
Okay. Yeah. So for this one, I think I came up with 2 alternate titles that I think explain what you're in for, which would be 6 ways to increase lead generation online and offline, or also 6 easy ways online and off to generate leads through your website. And she included a lot about the website in the intro and the conclusion. So I would say that that's probably the best way to go, so that you don't have to change too much and you can stick with that website theme. But there were 6 tricks, and 4 of them spoke about the website, but a few of the offline ones didn't. So for example, she recommended that you do public speaking engagements, which is a great idea. But it didn't tie into the website piece. So you would just need to go in and, go to those points and ensure that you're tying it into the main piece of the article. So yes, you can gain leads through speaking engagements, and maybe you could hand out business cards with your website, or have like a QR code where people can scan it to go to your website so that they can fill out a contact form, or some way to just tie it all together and make sure that your whole piece is cohesive. So just a few takeaways on that point, I would say. So make sure your title accurately describes the contents of the article. Don't use clickbait. If people get, a lie and they get to your article and then it's not quite what they were expecting, you're going to break trust, and it's not a good thing. Then the intro should engage the reader, relate to them, and tell them what the article is going to offer. So her intro did a good job of this. Then each section, like I said, should tie in to the topic, and the conclusion should wrap it all up, kind of summing up, what the piece was about. So yeah, you don't want to make the reader work or make them confused, or they're going to click away to find a different answer. So if you have any questions about any of number 1, go ahead and drop it in the comments and we can see those. I don't see anything yet. So the second tip is going to be to have descriptive and consistent headers. And hi, Francis. I see you're late but live. Glad to have you here. Hajra. Super glad that you guys showed up. Okay, so number 2 is having descriptive and consistent headers. Okay, so headers are the H2s and H3s that you use in bold text throughout the content to break them up. So for example, this is an H2 here. So originally it read offline methods, which, I mean, it does say, okay, these are the methods that were hinted at in the title. So that's good. But it's helpful to to have a keyword in there for SEO purposes. And it also helps to tell the reader more about what they're going to get. They're just, a lot of people just scan through fast. And so just having a little bit more descriptive text in your headers is helpful for both human readers and SEO. So I just added in 3 offline lead generation methods. And then I would never put 2 headers right on top of each other. You always want to break that up with a little bit of body text here. So just like a little intro could be like, okay, now we're going to look at some of the offline lead generation methods. You don't always have to, even though digital marketing is prominent, that's not the only way to go about driving leads to your website, or something like that, just to kind of keep the conversational tone. And then she has these other headers, which are H3s, which means they're the next tier down. They're a little bit smaller to show kind of the importance of different things in the article. So she had those really good. one for each year. But I noticed that when looking at all of her headers together, that there was kind of different approaches to how they were working. So the ones on the bottom were, what was it? It was just networking, cold calling, public speaking engagements. But then at the top, they were more descriptive. So, and they included kind of like an actionable word. So, like SEO, SEO, SEO was one. Make sure your mobile appearance is top notch. Okay, so you see that there's kind of a verb in there. Make sure, it's like telling you what you need to do, where the other ones were just telling them what it is. So when you're doing your headers, I think it's important to make sure that they're all uniform. So either leave them just descriptive or make them actionable, but not like a mix of both. So I went through and I just kind of made sure that they were short, 2 to 5 or 6 words tops, and that they were all actionable. So the first one was a little bit long. Analyze the pages that get the most traffic and nurture them for results. So I just kind of shortened that up to optimize high traffic website pages. And then the second one we just looked at, make sure your site is mobile friendly. And I just kind of tweaked that one a little bit, because it was make sure your site is mobile appearance is top notch, but then the tip talks about more than just the appearance. It's actually the experience as well. So that just kind of encompasses all. And then think SEO, SEO, SEO. So I just added think to the beginning of this one to make it actionable. And then at the bottom, so instead of just cold calling, change it to cold call prospects. So again, that's going to be actionable. So I think you guys get the idea. You just want to make sure that all of your headers are following the same kind of pattern. So Hajra asked, in blog posts, is it better to have a conversational tone? In most cases, yes. I would say 9 out of 10 clients these days, they want conversational tone, just because it's easy to read and it's an easy way to engage the readers and relay the information in an efficient way. People aren't looking often for really high level, complex, dense information in blogs. They want to read like a friend is explaining something to them so that they can get a quick answer. If they're on Google, they're looking up like, I want to compare X versus Y or something, and they just want a quick answer. So yeah, a lot of times conversational tone is really valuable. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, so the third one is kind of pretty short and simple. It's just about anchor text. So a lot of times clients are going to want links within the articles, often to other authority sites as well as to other pages on their website. And those are really helpful for SEO purposes and also for the reader experience, so that they can fact check something or learn more about a particular topic that maybe isn't the main focus of the article at hand. So when you're doing links, just a few little tips. In this article, she had wrote, this source also recommends that you use SEO research tools. So instead of saying this source, I would recommend naming the source. I think that it brings more authority and credibility to the article. And it enables the person to, know right away where this is coming from, and they can go and check it out. And then the other thing is that there was one part where this article had a full sentence that had the link to it. And I recommend keeping the anchor text shorter. So whether you're linking to a stat or a keyword that's related to the topic of the link, you want to keep it short, as not a whole sentence. Another question, do we need to always use H1, H2, and H3? In most cases, yeah, definitely H1 and H2 are necessary. H1 is going to be the title. H2 is going to break up the article into the main headers. I don't always use H3, but a lot of times I do. That's especially if it's a longer piece, because you're going to have your main, topics or questions, and then you're going to have, when you're going longer, you're just naturally often going to have subtopics that you want to break up. So H3s help to tell Google what all is included in your article, and it also helps to just make it easy for the reader to understand. Okay, so number 4. Okay, so we were just talking about conversational tone. And so number 4 is a way to increase the conversational tone within your piece. A lot of times, in blogs, you're explaining concepts through or answering different questions. But one thing that you can do to kind of bring the reader in more is to think about the questions that they might be wondering, and then kind of incorporate those into your writing. It makes it a little more fun and ties it together. So an example of this is in the introduction. And Joanne asked, H3 is just bullet points under H2. It's similar to like how you would use a bullet point, but the H3s are not bullets. But like a lot of times it's a situation where I have a list of items, like say that I'm listing the different factors that insurance companies consider when you're getting car insurance or something like that. So I could do a bullet list with all of those items, or if the bullet list explanations are getting a little bit long, where that I feel like it would just be kind of hard to read, you can turn each bullet point into like the header into an H3, and then put the explanation underneath and break it up like that. And that can help to improve readability, if that makes sense. But oftentimes it could go either way, but you want to use H3s when those sections are a little bit longer. Okay, so for the number 4, the question. Okay, so here's an example. At the bottom here in the last sentence of this second to last paragraph, it says, you can gain fresh leads using a few old-fashioned methods that still work wonders in the modern age. And then the next line says, here's a hint. Technology has drastically changed, but human interaction hasn't been altered one bit in the business world. And there's kind of a lack of flow there, but even just adding the one word why kind of helps to tie it all together. So we can gain fresh leads using a few old-fashioned methods that still work wonders in the modern age. Why? Here's a hint. It's like gives you a reason to give the hint, basically, and it's likely kind of what the reader would be wondering. So just incorporating little things like that. I did it in one other place in this article. Number 3. Anyway, I can't find the second example, but you just basically are wanting to help in your reader's shoes and think about what questions they might be asking. So before just like dropping all these answers for them, kind of bring them into the conversation and ask the questions they might be asking, and then give the answers. And it can make it feel more like a conversation. Is H1, H2, and H3 are WordPress terms, correct? They are used in WordPress, but most content editors also have those in the formatting. So basically, it's just the hierarchy of headings. So H1 is the top. It's the biggest. It's the most important. And Google uses those to, when the bots are scanning, they look for the codes on the back end of like content editors. It puts little codes around each different header to tell how important that is to the piece, basically. So H1 is often the title. H2 is the use Squarespace. Yes. So Squarespace doesn't show a lot of the In Squarespace, do you have the options to add H1s and 2s and 3s? I think you do. But yeah, they're not specifically just to WordPress. It is across most content editors. You'll find those. In Google Docs, they have them. Clear Voice, a few other ones that I use, but not sure. Yeah, I think they. I was actually editing an article for a client the other day in Squarespace, and they had them. If you want a little link to the information on the Squarespace page, I can add that a little bit later. Okay, so I was answering questions from Jennifer in the chat, by the way. Okay, so number 5, the last one I would say is to be careful about the punctuation that you use. A lot of times I see a lot of exclamation points, especially for new writers. And it can just make the piece feel a bit like overhyped. And it kind of is exhausting to the reader to read something that is constantly just like so excited. And it kind of makes you start to think, why are they, putting so much excitement into this? Are they overcompensating for something? And so I would focus more on, you can include exclamation points, but I would say limit them to 1 or 2 per piece, just to give it, a conversational tone. Like if I was talking to you and everything I said was like this, like how would that make you feel? You'd be like, okay, calm down, Jess. And I think that a lot of readers, they feel that way too. So it's just important. I think it's easy to go into the, to include exclamation points and throughout it, but I would limit it to 1 or 2, maybe 3 if it's a long piece, to make a point, but they lose their power when you overuse them.
And Chelsea Dorkey, she asked, what are some...
They make sure that you figure out where they're at, and do they have topics? Do they have links that they're going to give you? Do they have keywords they want you to target? Or is that going to be on you? So once you figure all that out, the next step would be either to sign a contract or do a trial assignment. I've done it both ways, where the contract comes after the trial assignment or it comes before, if there isn't one. And then if you are creating a brief, I would say you do that first and then send that over for approval, so that you can minimize the amount of editing you need to do. By getting their approval of the outline, then you have something to go by, so that they can't just ask you for endless edits. You're like, well, you approved this, and this is what the article should include. And then, write the doc. Oftentimes that's in Google Docs, and then I submit it, and then we interact within that document. And then once it's complete and approved, you get paid, you ask for any feedback for the next one, and then move on.
Yeah, just what Jessica is saying, guys, pre-qualify your clients. If you work with dream clients, when you pre-qualify them, when you like, oh, I don't have the budget, those you repel all those type of clients that are full of objections. So the other question is about charging, like per word or per hour, per word or per flat. I don't recommend charging per hour because you're gonna work crazy amount of hours. I would recommend charging per package, or like, let's say $100 per an email, and then do a package. I don't know, Jessica, experience, what your experience has been when it comes to charging. What have worked for you, Jessica, with your clients?
I have a few different approaches that I've taken and that have worked well. For some projects, I feel like hourly is the best thing, especially editing, just because editing can range so much from, something that takes you 20 minutes to something that takes you 2.5 hours. You never know exactly what you're going to get. So if somebody wants me to, edit their posts, a lot of times like, okay, we're going to start hourly. And then, if it's going to be the same type of article over and over, then maybe we can come to a fixed price agreement after doing a few, because I'll have a general feel for what is required. And then maybe, ideally as a writer, you're going to get into situations where you can have retainers. So they need a set amount of work per month, and then you can charge for that at the beginning of every month. And so you can kind of have your bread and butter, your core business revenue from that.
So,
but yeah, go ahead.
So, but for the editing is just another service that you provide, just editing, because you're also the content writer strategist, right? It's like another kind of service that you offer to your clients. Oh, that's great. Okay,
right.
so the
well,
other
with writing. Oh,
yeah,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say with writing, after so many years, you pretty much know what something's going to take you when you're writing it from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
Just by looking at the scope. So I think that that's easier to kind of figure out the prices that you need to set there, where editing kind of has that element that's out of your control.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jessica, for sharing your experience.
I see one more about which keyword research tools do I use? In Restream, I can't see who asked that question, so sorry about that. But one of my favorite tools is SEO Surfer. It's so helpful, and it can help you optimize your content for any keyword you want, to do competitive analysis. And it makes it fun. It makes it like a game, and you have to get a certain score. And yeah, I've been able to drive, incredible results for companies using that tool to optimize. So I would highly recommend SEO Surfer.
All right, thank you so much, Jessica. So, is there anything else you would like to say before we finalize? Because I am going to just say that I am officially launching a program to help you guys to land clients, to transition a conversation into from social media to turn to a call. How to position yourself as an expert in the industry. And I invited Jessica to partner up with me to help you with content just to critique your content and help you if you're struggling with that, because I truly believe that even if you're a newbie, if you invest in your skills and get someone to help you, like me and Jessica, you can up level your business much faster. And I mean, if you don't have confidence to produce good content, this is a great opportunity, because Jessica has had lots of experience when it comes to content creation. And so she's going to be helping my students. She's going to give a massive discount. And she also has her coaching program, which you guys can talk with her about it. Yeah, and I'm super excited. So if you guys want to land your client, if you're new and really want this, maybe want to quit your 9 to 5 in a couple of months, and you need help with clarity, how to what social media you should market yourself, researching a niche, anyways, my program is focused in client acquisition, and Jessica is going to help you guys with the content. And Derek also, he's going to help copywriters with a copy, which is he is also he is becoming he's turning into a 6-figure copywriter now, which I'm very happy for him. So he's going to help people that don't have self-confidence with their copies as well, like copies critique. So I'm super excited, and I can't wait to help a lot of you guys. And
yeah, so I'm excited to be partnering with Francielle to offer content coaching, basically. So similar to what I did today in reviewing that piece of content and giving my feedback, adding suggestions into Google Docs just to improve it. I'm going to be offering that service to Francielle's clients at a discount. It's an hourly rate. So yeah, if you're interested in just having a second pair of eyes on your content, whether it's you want to do it one time or you want support on an ongoing basis, you can reach out and I'll be helping out with that.
That's it for today, amigos. If this content have helped you somehow, make sure to hit the button subscribe. Comment below your questions. Let's connect in the comments, and I hope to see you here in the next video.